Ah, okay. All right. So first, we'll start by sharing the screen. And what you will be getting in the email is your credentials. So you'll be able to access this website page and log in. You'll set up your own password. You'll be given the temporary password, and then you'll be asked to reset it. And here we go. All right, this is our landing page. They call it Apricot Bulletins. And you'll see at the very top, there is a group of buttons: student search, group events, internship sites, and referral organizations. Gladys, a note to the side. We'll be doing internship sites separately with you
Okay.
because it's very involved and we really wanted to cover some of the more basic elements in this session.
Okay.
All right. So
Yes.
if, I'm sorry.
No, no, I said okay.
Oh, okay, great. Now, if you look at the side on the where it says dashboard at the top, which by the way, right now is not functional, it doesn't really do anything. But below it, you'll see menu items, search records, and here you can go to a student profile, group events, internship employer profile, and the staff volunteer profile. Now, these reflect the structure of Apricot, how it organizes data. So they use what they call a tier one and tier two structure. Tier one is the basic CRM elements of the data: who, what, where, that kind of thing. So for example, the student profile will be uploaded from the ATS DNLO files from DOE for each school. And in it, you'll find all of their basic demographic information. And the same thing with internships, you'll be able to find all of the internship sites and build the records for new sites. The staff and volunteer profile will be building out. This will be useful, for example, for the volunteer tutors to be able to maintain that and schedule them. In this little item here, hidden records, is the link for the referral organization profile. So what we have are essentially the entities: students, staff, and volunteers, the internship organizations, referral organizations. All right. And then beneath that will be all of the services, everything that we do with them. And once you open one of these records, anything that you do in that record will automatically associate with the tier one element, which is, for example, student profile. The only thing that is somewhat different is group events are also a separate entity because you're building an event and associating students with it. This is very much like what we did in CYD Now. You created an event and then you would choose your students. Okay. So what I'm going to do is start off with the student search. And this is where we find our student profiles. So by clicking on that, what we find right at the very beginning are two filters, and they're the school for the student profile and the student name. Now you can add other search fields if you want. For example, if it's easier to find a student by student ID, you could select that. What I've done for this purpose is I've uploaded a sample of students from each school. There are both active students and also alumni, students who have already graduated. When we do the complete upload for all three schools, they'll be identified by the school. And you can see right here, what you would do, for example, Sebastian and Gladys, is you would select Manhattan Comprehensive, and it would stay that way. And then the student name would be the variable. You would change that for whatever student you're looking for. Tomiko, you would select city as, and then search for a student. So once you get working in this, that would remain the same, the school selection.
What's other? What would be?
That's one of those, they automatically put in other.
Oh,
It won't,
okay.
yeah. Eventually, it'll also contain career academy data, but not right away. So
Question for
we'll
you
just
first.
stick. I'm sorry.
Is it possible to include the OSIS number search like directly on here without having to do the search field portion?
I'm sorry. What?
Is it possible to include the student ID number directly on here without having to do the add search field?
I'm sorry. I don't know exactly what you mean by that question.
So in the add search field, you have the option to search by student ID number.
Uh-huh.
Can that be included directly? Like, can that be included without having to select that?
Oh, no. Once you select it, it stays here.
Oh, it'll stay there.
For the
Oh,
user.
Okay.
Yeah, what I've discovered that a lot of people use the name. So I just worked on the basis of that, but you just add it right here and you'd be fine.
And next time I log back in, I would just always
It should still be.
Oh, okay, cool.
Right.
That's easy.
And it's pretty easy to add. You know what I mean? If you're trying to manipulate, subsets. So in this case, and I've chosen Lud as a victim of testing, and to give you an idea of what it looks like when you have a populated record. So this is when I put in the parameters. Let's say, for example, clear field. You can, if you leave it blank, if you leave everything blank except the school, you'll get everybody in the school, right? What you need to do to open the record, and I'll go back to Lud, is when you see the name listed, you click on it, and it will open up the student profile. And if you'll notice, it starts off, it lists the school. And again, this is all data that's been uploaded through the DNLO file from the DOE. The same sort of information you would have in Manhattan Comprehensive, the ManComp database, and CYD Now. As you look at this, you'll see the date of birth, the name, student ID, gender pronouns. That would have to be added by us. It isn't included in the DOE. So if it becomes an issue with somebody, we can add that. And I believe it's a drop down, right? There we go. Student email, this is all DOE information. If there is an email listed in DOE, we would populate it. Most of the time, it would be for example, the ManComp or school email.
Which is going to be the New York City students email, probably, right?
I'm sorry?
It'll probably be the DOE email if they gave them all.
Right, but I don't have access to that data, but we can find it and upload it and append, the records. But right now it's just blank. What they do is they put in customer care and apricot info as sort of a neutral value. Down here, we have display parent guardian information. If you click yes, it brings up the adult adult 1 and adult 2 names, their phone numbers, and their address. Again, this is DOE information. And if you want to hide that, you just simply click no. Below here, you have a number of options, quick links, if you will, to add data that we use frequently. For example, contact information. You can add contact information here by simply clicking add. And for example, I'll show you. And what you would do, this is part of the what they call bulk entry. I'm going to not do this one right here. I'm going to show you the other way of doing it. Student consent forms and the participant demographic information is located here. This is where we have race, ethnicity, gender, ESL status, IEP status, official class code, the sector for their place of birth, plus the actual entry for place of birth, when they entered the New York City school system, the admission date, their cohort years broken down by 4-year cohort and 6-year, their free meal status, and if their grade level and their discharge date. And if
So
they're
this,
I'm sorry?
sorry, this is automatically generated by the information that's uploaded from
That's
DOE?
correct. And
Okay.
once we get, for example, once we have graduations, this information will be updated. So you'll have the discharge date, the code, and the category. We'll only be updating, for the most part, people who have graduated. But we'll look at that in terms of how complicated it is in the long run. So that's the landing for the student profile. I'm going to move us to the left here. On the right-hand side of the screen, can you see the record options?
Yeah.
On the right-hand side. Down below in that list, you'll see View Folder. And if you click on that, it will open up LUD's full document folder. They consider any of the transactions that when we're working with students as being documents. So what we have listed is the student consent forms, current student contact information. And while you're in here, you can update anything directly through these portals. If you look to the left, you'll see this little green circled cross. If it's green, then when you click on it, it will open. And you can access the records that are listed by clicking on them. So for example, there. Now this one, I entered a couple of samples. There was a refused. Okay. Now by going back, and again, navigating is just like being on a website. It is possible as you're working that you'll start generating all these different tabs. So it's a good idea to kind of work on navigating using things like the back arrow, go to search, view folder, return to folder, things like that. The
What was
record,
this under again? It was under, when you clicked it on the right side? It was,
view folder. Oh, wait a minute. Are you talking about this screen?
yeah, when you first got into the screen to show that list of stuff.
Right. That was by clicking on view folder. Okay. This is also listed in the manual, so you'll have access to that as well as a copy of this session. So by going back, at any point, if you see the green plus sign, that means there are records. And again, you can click on that and it will show them. Same thing with current student contact information. If you want to add data, you would click on the little black page icon at the right with the plus sign. And for example, if you have no data, it will be grayed out, and you'll see when you hover over it, you get this frightening little do not proceed in red. So what you would do is click on, and we'll add the consent form. So we click on that, and it pops open, and we enter the date that it was received, and click on all of, and this is from Manhattan Comprehensive, for all of the consent forms that have been received, except for refused. And once you do that, you save the record, you wait, and then you're given this little prompt at the top. Do you want to continue? Which means that you would continue working in this same record. Do you want to go to the folder, which is that whole list of services for LUD? Or do you want to go back to the search so that you'd find another student? So what we'll do is we've done this, we'll go back to view folder, And takes a moment. And if we look at the consent forms, we now have 3 records. All right, including this one. Now I need to get the refused in here. If it's blank, it means that they've been refused, that they refuse to give the information or sign the forms. Current student contact information. This is where we update the information for the student if we get it, their contact information. And again, we have it listed. We can update a record by clicking on it and going directly to that record. So for example, we find out, oh no, it's not 555, it's actually 565. And then you would save the record and then go back to view folder. Again, you could also add new information by clicking here and on the little plus sign, and you could start and add all new information. Okay. If you're in the middle of a record and you go, oh, wait a minute, this is all wrong, I don't want to do this. You don't have to worry about deleting it. Just before you save, go to the back arrow and you'll be backed out of it. Or if you've already started entering information before you've saved, it will say, are you sure you want to leave? If you leave, it won't be saved. So you're okay that way. Staff assignment. This is, for example, Cabrini, Mizuho, caseloads, and we'll develop more particular areas where you will have an assigned group of students. So in this one, you can see if we open it up, I've been busy adding things. And if we, for example, open this one that I added today, okay, you can see that I have been added as his staff. He's been added to my caseload for a funded program called Mizuho. We'll back out of this. And we'll add a new one so you can see the process.
Is this for programs with the like corporate partners or board members, or is this like on-site, also for on-site group activities?
It really, well, this is for students that you are working with. It may be for a particular reason.
Okay.
It may be part of a general caseload. We'll add a new one and you'll see what I've added so far for options for how you would organize it. So the start date is when you start working with that student, and end date, we can update this based on let's say a file that you give us and say, everybody in Mizuho for this year has been completed. Then I would go in through the back end and close them out. Okay, you wouldn't have to go into each one necessarily. Smaller groups, you'd probably want to go ahead and take care of it for time. So in this case, we have a start date, and then you would add the staff assignment. Right now, we only have a few people in here. When I add you to give you credentials, you would find your name here. All you have to do is, I'll give Suzette an opportunity here, is click that name, close it, and then you're ready to go to select your program. What I've added so far is a general caseload. So for example, if you are responsible for, everybody in the alphabet between A and G for last name, then they would be assigned, you would have them assigned to you as a caseload. Or,
will you add something like that for maybe internships? Because like I'm responsible for internships. So maybe something that I can make my own caseload for internships.
Well, we have a different, we could, absolutely, but we can also, you have the ability to control that in the internship module.
Oh, okay.
And we can go over that as well. But it depends on your preferences. You do have, that freedom to be able to choose how you want to manage the students that you're working with.
Right, but if you have a whole internship, then I guess I'll work from there. keep it
Yeah,
all under
well,
one
well,
umbrella.
you may look at it and go, I would really like it on this side too. You know, another way of
Okay.
doing it. For example, I've added
Also be
life.
used for life link. Oh,
What was that?
So-
Okay.
Sorry, I have a question.
don't forget life link.
There was a
Sorry.
question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Uh-huh,
So our caseloads are broken down by advisory.
sure.
Is this a place where we would, because you've been uploading the data for us through the DNLO in
Right.
terms of advisory and the attendance report, what's the best way to enter that group? Because that happens every week on 2 different days with different advisors.
Well,
And also we're intaking and outtaking like the entire school year.
sure. There are a number of ways we can do that. We can still do an upload. We can also build rosters in the group, the group and events module to be able to handle that. And then you would just go in and I'll hopefully I'll have a chance to get to that and show you how that would work. But we have options here in how we can manage those. Groups are good. It depends on if it's an individual session or a group session.
So this is specifically for, I'm confused, I guess, as to why I don't know. I don't know what we're doing this versus advisory versus like a college fair or a workshop or something.
College is your advisory is one-on-one with a student.
No, advisory is group advising every week.
Okay, then those we could set up a roster in the group events.
And then that would automatically, I might be jumping ahead, sorry.
You are.
But, okay,
a little
I'll
bit.
be quiet. All
No,
right, I'll be
that's
quiet.
okay. I'm trying to keep up too. So,
Okay.
but this would be, yes, if you have a group of advice that you handle all the time that they're assigned to you, this would be one way to be able to handle that. The other way would be to simply create a roster and a group, and then every week you would go in and just say, okay, this is for this week. If there was somebody who's not present, you would remove them from it and then commit it to the database. So there are ways of handling it, and we'll discuss that and discover ways as we move forward. So now we've assigned, Suzette is now assigned for life links. And that's something else, Sebastian and Gladys, that we'll go over at another date, another time, for how to approach the use of that. So we save the record, and we'll go back to the folder. What I'd like to do is to certainly cover the period of time that we're working, in this period of time, working with individual services provided and how to enter them. So down here, we see that there are services, 9 of them recorded already. And we'll go ahead and add a new one because we're using what Apricot refers to as form logic. So it automatically will default to, for the date of service, to the current date. We're going to go ahead and backdate this one to Friday the 1st. You would enter the total amount of time, and we'll say 15 minutes. Then you select your service type. So what we'll look at right now is college. And select college, and when you do, it brings up a whole group of attributes. Now, what I discovered in analyzing our data from CYD Now is that 89% of the time, the staff only selected one attribute. So rather than having combined for that little tiny portion at the end, we've limited it to one attribute per record. Okay, so all you would have to do is select. What we have here for college is college assessment. which is we're in the process of determining how we want to handle for if you look down here, it says, did you discuss goals? This database is set up for social work, and the emphasis is on plans, goals, benchmarks, and assessments. So we've pre-built this. How it's going to be used will be a matter for program to determine. College advisement is pretty basic. And again, you can see that there's a generic quality to some of this.
Can you only click one service per entry?
That's right.
So what about if you do multiple services?
Well, that's something we can discuss.
Okay.
It becomes very difficult in this particular system to track.
Oh,
We
okay.
do multiples, because what happens is it creates a data cascade. The database that I built, when you entered all of the multiples, it went through a process where it reorganized the data into a string. So you had one date, one service record with up to what, 10 items covered. We're not really going to be doing it that way in this system.
And I noticed when you went into student services, internships wasn't in there. Is that because it's going to be a separate thing?
It's separate.
Yeah,
right.
I'm feeling unloved right now.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm feeling no love right
I
now.
I know, but you'll get over it.
So,
But I'll show you. We'll go back to career as well.
okay, so, sorry,
Sorry.
what does college assessment mean?
College assessment would be a student comes in for the first time, you sit down and talk with them, and you find out what is it they want to do. Usually at this point, you would be working on their service plan. Okay, now this is something that, again, we're in discussions about as a network requirement or service structure. Okay, so that would be the college assessment. You would sit down and find out, okay, what do they need in order to be able to apply for college successfully?
So it's almost like the initial college meeting, the initial college conversation.
Exactly. So that you can start determining what you need to do to provide for them and what they need to do in order to accomplish their goals. Again, this is real stripped down at this particular moment because there are a ton of different directions you can go in. We haven't settled on everything quite yet. Okay, so we'll focus on the services. Pardon?
And there's a separate screen for career stuff, career related stuff.
And we'll go to that one next. I wanted to show you how you've selected college. It brings up the services provided, which are all geared to college. All right.
Okay.
So let's say that you're getting a college, somebody's coming in and they're doing a college application. When you do that, it brings up a linked record, and you can click on that and you can start entering the college information. Now, this can also be done in what they call bulk record. So you can open up, find a student, and just enter a multiple number of colleges. So this is geared to, let's say that they're submitting an application for CUNY. It will automatically limit all of the selections of the college names to CUNY colleges. So we'll say Kingsborough, and the term, we'll say winter and 2024, and the application date, we'll say today. Now, when you find out, rather than adding a completely new record, if you find out that they've been accepted at that, now, not all acceptances come through. I mean, it depends on student reporting or transferring the data from a report from CUNY, let's say. But if you do, you can go into the list of applications for that student, click on reopen this application, and then mark the date that it was accepted. Okay.
So, sorry, I'm gonna
That's all right.
pause here again. So is there a way to do this? Because the CUNY application has up to 6 options. Is there a way to do this and click the 6 options now, or do we have to go in and put each one in there?
This is your job coming up, Tomiko, is to tell me,
Okay,
you know,
okay,
how things work best for you
Yeah.
in these circumstances.
okay.
So, for example,
So that's my feedback, I guess.
well, yeah, but I need the details.
Okay, so we need to be able to choose up to 6 schools at one time for CUNY, and for SUNY, I think it's 7 or 8. I'll have to get you the number.
Okay, you'll have to give me that information in the feedback that we get.
Mhm. Okay,
Right now, this is introduction. I'm not taking notes. So
Oh,
we'll
gotcha.
get back. This is
okay, well, I need to take notes then because, yeah.
well, when you start going through this, you're going to be going in and entering information. Okay.
Mhm.
So, you know, what you'll do is after a certain period of time,
Mhm.
going in, familiarizing yourself with it, testing it out, is you'll get back to me with refinements. Okay. But I'm going to need details as much as possible. And then we'll probably discuss it and look at it as an overall network issue as well. But
Okay.
this is, you guys were chosen because you work in, you know, the details
Mhm.
of it all. So it's
Mhm.
real important. And I'm absolutely thrilled that you're seeing things already. Okay. So, okay. And again, at the side, you'll see it says stored linked record. And you come back to the main screen, and here is where you started. You would save the record. And then I'm going to take us back to the folder. And we'll go ahead and enter a career. And we'll say 20 minutes and career. Now, by the way, when you enter financial applications, a different form pops up rather than college applications. So whatever you choose over here will be reflected in terms of what the options are. Now the career is a little different. We are working on more integration. For example, the vocational referrals and internship assignment. Let's see what happens if we do that. Okay, so let's say that you're working with somebody on an internship assignment. The assignment has to be done through the internship site, the same way that we did it in CYD. You know, you would open a site and then you would find the student to associate with the site to be able to create the job assignment. So we're working on building that out and integrating it even more if possible. So we have the same options: career assessment, career advisement, internship advisement. So Gladys, if somebody comes in and is talking to you about wanting to do an internship and what is, kind of, just a chat about it or whatever, you would choose this. Internship assignment, you may be sitting and talking with them for 20 minutes about the internship assignment.
Which is something that they've already been assigned to.
It's yes, or that you're getting ready to actually make the selection.
Okay.
So it's working with the assignment, either pre or post assignment. Okay. Resume completed and vocational referral. Now
you say resume completed. What about resume? Somebody that we're working on doing a resume. That's
a good point, and something that please put that in the email in your assessment. It is something I overlooked. Again, this is like, I need to know what things you track on a regular basis. And then we'll work to make it applicable across the network so that they all mean the same thing in each location.
Boris, quick question.
Sure.
So you said that we'll get a login maybe tomorrow or the day after in order to like play around with it a little bit. That way we can start generating those questions for you.
That's right.
Okay,
I'll have it
perfect.
for you. I need to go in and set up your profiles. And then they'll send, the system generates an invitation.
Okay.
And once you do that, then you can come in and you'll be prompted to reset your
Yeah, like you said in the
password.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, got you. Cool.
So down here it says, did you discuss goals? We're working on a post-secondary plan element that links into the goals and benchmarks achieved. We're not ready to really roll that out quite yet. As you're probably guessing, this is a big program. There are a lot of pieces to it.
Yeah.
So we're trying to knock them out in the most highly used areas first, and start getting that tested while we prepare the other. So if, for example, you wanted to say, did you discuss goals? You can do this without having the assessment built up. But right in here, you could write in what the goals were that you discussed. And if you, what is that over there? Oh, I see, it's over there. There's strange alignments with things. So I'm just, and you can also schedule a next appointment if you want. Okay, that is something else that we're looking at, working on. For example, at HP, I'm sorry that Sylvester isn't here. At HP, they're really wanting to get people to start students to start using appointments because there's just so many people, and to have them lined up, and it just clogs the office. So that will be an option.
What does that look like? Where does that go?
I'm sorry, which?
I
Oh,
said, what does that look like? Where does that go? Like
sure.
on the students' end, on our end?
It mostly right now appears on our end.
Yeah.
We're also looking at automating an email or something along those lines to put it on a calendar and then, push it to the students.
Okay.
When you select yes, it pops up next appointment date, the appointment time, and what it is that you hope to accomplish.
Okay. I mean, we do that through our Google email because that's what the students use.
Okay.
But I'm just curious as to like how that is
Sure.
gonna work.
I mean, what it amounts, here's the general psychology of what we're talking about. Hopefully, this will be a tool for people, for our staff, rather than something that you open at the end of the week and fill out. And the reason for that is we need to start being able to report real time, or as close to real time as possible. So we'll be looking at integrating systems, and Van will be part of that process. So for example, if you schedule the next appointment, it would move it to Google Docs or to Google. So we're building out. It's a big process.
So you mean eventually to be just doing it in real time, we're doing it on the computer instead of having paper logs and all of that?
Exactly. As much as possible. I know that it's not always possible to do this. But it helps so that if we need to run reports, right now we do a lot of, rushing about trying to make things like for a board report or foundation reports and things. So we were hoping to get the whole organization in sync with this. Okay, so with that, you would save the record. And we'll go back to the folder. Again, a lot of this is covered in more detail and step-by-step process in that manual that I sent you. And it's mostly pictures, so which is
I like
why
visuals.
I learn. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is for services is counseling. what had been before called student support. All right. Michael wanted to make sure that we changed that to counseling. And when you do that, you get a pop-up with different areas that you might be working with them in. So there's counseling assessment. And again, that is, did you sit and talk to them about what their general needs are, and sort of develop your plan for that student. And for example, if you chose counseling assessment in the service notes, you could put in more details there. If you choose crisis or student support, I will do student support, it opens up a whole list of other things. But again, this is a single choice because we need to be able to report on it. If you, let's say that there are more things involved, we can refine this list. And you folks are going to be key in being able to do that. Okay. We have attendance, academics, behavior, family, housing. And again, this is all meant to be at 30,000 feet for HIPAA purposes. We don't want to be keeping super detailed things in our database. And the DOE doesn't want us to do that either. It also exposes us legally to issues. So.
Because like with student support, one of those things that might come up, that's come up a lot, is food insecurities. Would that be something we can put there?
Absolutely.
Because we give referrals to food pantries and things like that. So that should be a separate thing.
Well, in this case, if you chose referral, let's say you're sending them to a food bank, and we'll just go ahead and jump to that right now. It opens up linked referral records. And you would click on new, and you get this is a two-part process. First of all, generally, we'll say food banks.
Oh, okay.
The date of referral, oops, come on now, is the 5th. And you can actually enter information that can be emailed to the referral site.
Mm-hmm.
If we get all this, get everything linked and we're up to date with all of our information. So once you've done that, then you come down here and you start to add what agency you're choosing. So right now I have it the referral category, and we'll look at food banks. Now I haven't added too many options right now. Gladys, that might be actually something that, again, we can pick up on a different, thing, how to add them. And I don't know at CityAs if you use referrals to external agencies.
Sometimes, but that's mostly a guidance function.
Okay, so we can discuss that if there are, you can add to this. We can determine who at a site would be responsible for determining that a new agency would be added. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and click that, and you can see automatically it populates down here. The agency contact was filled out in the referral organization profile, and email and that sort of thing. So once you've selected that, you would click, and all of this information becomes saved once you hit store the linked records. Send referral email to external agency. And so if you put in information here and you sent an email, it would go to this email address.
The referral notes.
Right. But we have to build, also in this, we have to build in, a little more detail to make that functional, and so that they're not getting an email like, huh? But we'll work on that as well.
Are you doing that with the vocational programs as well? Because I think Ashley had a bunch of data that we could use for that portion of it. So we're not.
Yes, that's an excellent point. We're hoping to build this out for vocational purposes also. So if you go up here to this, there should be, like direct employment training programs, certification programs, and we can build out. So again, when you look at these, look at this and vocational programs and determine, is there something missing that we use on a regular basis? How are we doing that? We're coming up to the end of our time here. So there's you store the linked record and save the record. And when we come back here, and if we go to services, and we'll take a look at that. And here was one where we made a referral. These are called quick links, quick views. We can go ahead and click on that, and you can see the information listed. Food banks.
Is there a way to break out the career stuff into the career portion of this so that we're not like, because if we're part of the career drop down is vocational program,
Mhm.
and it would be helpful to have that linked
Absolutely.
in there instead of like going into counseling, because I'm not gonna think
No,
of
no,
that.
no. This is what you're helping me with. Okay.
Okay.
Is where do we need the links for that? Now, I think I'm sorry, let me back out of this. And you can see right here, leave site, changes you made may not be saved. Okay, so that would be one way of not committing what you've done. If we create a new one and 2 minutes, and we choose career, vocational referral. So when we get that fleshed out in terms of actual referral agencies, when you click on that, you'd have the same referral options within the record. And I'm sorry that not everything has been built out quite yet. I'll hopefully maybe by tomorrow I can get a sample for that and have that built.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the best way to do that, like, because when we sit down, we're actually, for the most part, doing the application. So if it said something like vocational application, and then we could link that to a specific like site, that would be helpful.
Sure. Sure. Well, also in the referral form, so if it is a vocational referral form, then we could add things like application submitted, a date, that sort of thing. So there are options that we can work on with that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the most convenient way to do this, because we don't have a ton of time to enter data. I'm sure everybody like at the sites.
I understand, but you also need to understand that this isn't just an exercise for the purpose of using up your time. All of this feeds into our funding.
I get that.
Yeah, I know, but it's something that we have. I've been working in data for almost 40 years now. And there are times when you just go, why am I being punished this way? But in this particular case, it really does boil down to our funding. And smaller agencies like ours are always on the edge. So,
Yeah, no, I get the importance of it. I'm just trying to figure out and I'm just talking it out loud, talking it through out loud, I guess, as part of what's happening here. I'm just trying to think of the most seamless way to do this to capture what we need and also not have to go from screen to screen to screen.
Well, you're going to have to go screen to screen to screen because that's the way cloud-based applications are built.
Okay.
They're built in HTML, unfortunately. CYD now, Suzette and I built it so you didn't have to hit save. They were bound, forms were bound to tables. You get one thing like mobility and access from any location, and then you lose something on the other side of the equation, unfortunately. But we want this to be as easy to use and as efficient to use as possible. So don't hold back in terms of saying, it would be much better if there was an easier way of doing this. This is the way we do it, because what you bring up may actually inform us to a better way of handling it across the network. Yeah, there's also some other, we're almost at the end of the time. Let me show you just briefly some of the other things that are available. We can upload files. So in this case, I've uploaded a resume for LUD, and you can preview the file, and you can also download it from here. This is not a real one. Likewise, for documentation that may be necessary for a program that you're working with. Okay, college financials, those are
Anybody that accesses LUD's records can upload that resume, can open that resume and download it. Like, it doesn't have to be just somebody that initially worked with him. It could be any of us.
It could be. It could
Okay.
be. These are some of the things we need to consider in terms of how granular do we want permissions to be? Okay.
Right.
Forrest,
Uh,
quick
mhm.
question for an overall thing. I know the SharePoint is like a bridge. Now, is everything in the SharePoint going to be on Apricot as well, or is SharePoint still going to be existing in some form?
No, SharePoint will always. That's our primary file.
That's our primary. Okay.
Yeah, fine.
So,
yeah,
like
exactly.
resumes, for example, can also be put in there, and that'll be fine.
Well, we're looking at an API that will allow us to have it write directly to SharePoint. So
Oh,
that
okay.
instead of being located in the Apricot system, it would write to SharePoint.
Oh, so it'll be like a seamless
Yeah.
transition. Okay.
We're
Gotcha.
really looking at as many automations as we can to cut down on the repetitive stuff of data entry.
Okay.
Believe me, I understand where you guys are coming from. I really do. It's sort of a rock and a hard place, you know.
So right now we just keep working on SharePoint until this is completed. We're not doing anything with Apricot, but messing around with it so that we can familiarize ourselves with it, right?
Absolutely. These are not real records that you're
Okay.
entering. These will all be archived. That's something
Okay.
else to remember. You'll sometimes see archive as an option. Archiving can only be done by supervisor or administrative level. And we'll discuss that, who should have that, ability, Let me just show you, for example, internship employment. Come on. Here's one to tartan kilts and bedspreads. And in it, you'll see that it contains, this is just the overall look of the once it's been assigned. It has the work documents listing, the assigned site and job, internship assignment closure when it's student quit internship for a higher paying job. Quit. Now also you'll see that down below there are linked internship hours. So you can review them. They're not going to be hidden or anything. You'll be able to see them. And in each one of these, there is hidden a collapse, and you can open it up. It shows the system fields, the record ID, modification date, who did the modification, the creation date, and who it was created by. All of us, all three sites are part of the same CYD services program. Okay. Now we may modify that at a later date, depends on what we learn in the setup and the operations. That would probably happen a year later, to find out if it's better to make more of a distinct separation between the three sites. Let's see how we're doing. We're over time already. Are there any questions at this point? I know this was a rush. Any questions or comments?
We didn't get to do the group event.
Oh,
that's like
you have a
workshop.
few minutes?
I actually have another meeting that I have to get to.
I have to get to another meeting as well.
Okay, it's covered in the manual.
Yeah, I saw it in there. Yeah.
So we can schedule perhaps when we get back to I'll call another meeting where we can get back and discuss things.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful because I need to like see it done or do it myself in order to like,
Exactly. You need to get in there and get the feel of it. And it
Yeah.
is a challenge to get the flow. You know,
Yeah.
Okay,
like when do you click that? When do you do that?
right.
So we'll follow up with that. I will send you your credential invitations tomorrow. And at any point, you can contact Suzette or I to discuss. And you know, we'll do our best to get back to you as quickly as possible. And believe me, the purpose of you doing this is not to just hand something to you that you're forced to deal with. Your partners in developing the whole project. Okay.
yeah,
So thank you
you.
so much for your time,
So,
and go to
Thank
your
you.
next meetings. Suzette, can you
Thank you,
hold
guys.
back for a moment?
Thanks,
Sure.
Boris. Thanks, Suzette.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye. Forrest, so for me, you said you're working on the separate internship piece that you'll let me know eventually. So for now, when I go and I just mess in the sections that says career and internship and stuff like that, right?
Sure. What we could do is actually, I'm hoping to get something kind of like what I sent you today. It'll be added to that will cover internships, setting up an internship site, assigning a job, you know, defining a job, assigning to students.
Right, because
Uh,
like now I know come the spring, we got a couple of things, new sites we're trying to open up. So for now, I just got to send it to Suzette so she can open it up on the back end
Exactly. We want you
until
to
we
have
get
more,
things moving.
yeah,
Right.
we want you to have more hands-on control of that.
Okay.
We'll also be uploading the data that we have already.
Okay.
You know, so we have sites that may reopen.
Right.
Are,
Right.
do you have a moment?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Suzette,
don't have
do
a
you have
meeting.
Yes,
you have
yes,
a
I do,
moment?
Boris. Yes, I do.
Okay, because you're gonna have to help me remember everything.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to move you over the, okay. What we'll do is if we go to search records, we'll go down to internship employer and we'll click that. Okay. And this little,
Monkey Branch Productions. We make up these places.
oops. I'll put you down there. Okay.
Suzette's cabbage and rice.
Yeah. Riceteria.
Yes.
Oh my God. And then look at Tarzan's kilts and bedspreads. I'm done.
Hey, but you've got
Just
monkey
drinking some
bench.
eggnog when they do this, huh?
I wished I had the eggnog. Yeah. So if you look over to the right, so you could, for example, when we got hundreds of these, right? And you'd say, well, I want to search for, you know, what do we have by sector, right? And so we can select a sector and we'll say technology. Or, well, let's go to Suzette's. Let's see, what is it? Food, where is it?
Hospitality or culinary.
Ah,
No.
thank you. All right, and so there we have Suzette's cabbage and riceteria.
Cabbage, riceteria.
So you could open that and you could start editing. When you do that, to edit an existing form like that site,
Mhm.
you would go up to the little edit thing. Okay. And here's where you can start editing the existing information. This is our primary information for the organization. The company name, is it active, inactive? Look at you, you're the liaison. Didn't know it. You would select the sector, just, you know, as you're building it out. Primary contact, Suzette Reed Ferguson. Oh boy, is this the primary student supervisor? You could identify yes. The primary contact email, you would change it, update it, or add it.
It's almost like the info we had at CYD now.
Exactly, it's trimmed back a little bit.
And I
they-
can go back and just change it, right?
Yeah, this is if you want to edit what's already put in.
Okay.
Website, address, and internship site address. That's weird. Oh, I see. It's got something over it. You can select a map to find it.
Oh,
Yeah, but I don't think there's a Shetland pony circle to be had. Okay.
so I have a question. When you send me my credentials and if I go in and look at this, is it gonna have the sites that we use now already uploaded or not yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
But this is a great opportunity. You can play with it and add.
Okay.
Okay. So what in fact we'll go ahead and do that. But let me just show you what we've got here. So
Okay.
we've got jobs. What are the jobs that are available? You can see we've got at Suzette's Cabbage and Riceteria, there's an active job
As a cabbage chopper?
for cabbage chopper. Suzette, did you build this?
Came up with this stuff.
Let's find out who did this.
Wait, who came up with this? You, Suzette?
Oh, well, I created it and
It was Forrest.
Never mind.
I love it. Cabbage chopper.
Yeah.
Picture
Okay.
that on picture that on a resume. That
So
will go on the
you could,
food
let's say
prep.
that you wanted to add a job description. Okay, you would add here and you would choose again what is the site. And here you would start building out the it's linking it. It's a
Oh,
little
those
slow
circles
today.
make me nervous. Every time I see those circles, I'm like, no.
Hmm.
It's been kind of hit and miss today. I don't know what the deal is.
Maybe it's the weather. I
Oh,
don't know.
feature disabled. Oh, okay, well, I'll have to fix that. Anyway, see, Suzette, could you make a note of that?
Yes.
So you put in the job title. Is it active? Yes.
So
Job
the new job
category.
title I'm adding.
Pardon?
The new job title I'm adding. I will
Right.
put it. Okay.
So job category, let's say it's healthcare. So this is going to be a job description. Job category is healthy food advisor, and job description the same as that. Special skills if needed. Blah blah blah. Now I've somehow screwed up this link, so I'll have to fix that. So
Okay.
for now, you can kind of ignore that. I don't know if this is going to allow us to save. It's a required. I
So
don't.
it might not let you save it because it's
Yeah,
not
I'll have to fix that.
Exactly.
Hopefully, I'll have it fixed before you get into. working
Okay.
with it. It probably won't. Oh, it's allowing it. That's weird. I'm surprised it'll. Oh, it was disabled. That's what it was. Anyway, so we go back to edit, and we now have two jobs that are available. But it's only. Oh no, that's a placement.
So that's a placement.
Yeah, available jobs are here. Healthy food advisor and the chopper, and then you have linked job placement records, and this is where you would add a person. Okay, so let's add a person to this, and we're going to do it at ManComp. I have put in simple. We have very limited number of records. I think there are about 30 each school to work with, and I'll show you how you can find them. We didn't even get to the reports yet today, so
Yeah.
we'll put in D, and we'll go ahead and assign
Dylan
yeah, Darlene to that.
or Delolin.
And and we'll say the date of employment status, employment is internship, and then you start working on your work documents. This is taking you to a linked record for Darlene Reyneth Rojas Urbina. How are you dealing with some of these names, Gladys?
Listen, it's not easy sometimes.
Wow. I mean,
And now the new group of kids, especially the Latino kids who have come into the country, they got like 3 or 4 different last names, and it's like, oh my God.
It reminds me of the Princess Bride.
No,
And
it's
it
funny because
continues.
we have to list the name exactly the way the school has it, or they won't link.
Exactly.
So if it's for, you know, Reyes Martinez, I have to put it that way, or it won't link to the school's records.
Yeah. In this one, you can kind of you'll be able to do a search, you know, put in
I remember with
fragments.
CYD now you could search by the middle name or the last name, and it'll pop up anybody in that category. And then you
Exactly.
can choose.
And you'll have the same option here.
Okay.
So at this point, you would say, did you get the work documents? And we can talk about, do you want to upload any of those documents? We'll put that on the back burner for now.
Right.
But you would just go ahead and, you know, click off what you have. And we'll say pre-agreement. Assigned site and jobs. So we have, this is all, when you save the record, it all gets back in.
Links it. Okay.
So funding, oh, this is CYD, WPP, service
okay.
learning.
So it'll be CYD.
CYD, and we'll say it starts today. Job assignment. See, I got to fix that link. I'm really sorry about that.
So that other link, that probably links it to that, right?
Exactly. And I don't know how I screwed that up, but I'll fix it.
No worries. This is where we're figuring out the kinks.
So we've got we determined if she's going to do the healthcare or he, general work schedule, work days only, work days and nights. So it's generalized. It's not super specific.
Okay.
So say weekends, work days and weekends, and then you could put in main duties if it differs. It, you know, from the other general work hours. We'll say flexible. Average hours per week.
15.
CYD supervisor, Gladys, you're up. And the site supervisor, you put in a reference.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then we'll save the record.
Oh, and then let you save it.
Right. Now, if
oh, but look, the thing popped up though.
It's saved.
I'm sorry?
No, it popped up, the record saved.
Oh, yeah. If you have a problem with it, you'll see something in red over here.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and we'll go back to view the, well, let's go down to here. Oops. Why is it? Continue. Oh, I was waiting for me to finish that. So internship hours. So you would put in the, this is something that Suzette will be handling, but you would
Okay.
have access to review. We'll figure out permissions again, you know, as we get more.
Right, but I won't need, Suzette will be putting in the timesheets with that, right?
Right.
Yes.
There's something on all of these.
Yeah.
But it might all have to do with that link.
Well, it does, but it says feature disabled. And I suspect that what happened is our friend Robert hit us again. He thought he was fixing stuff up, but didn't take into consideration that we have all these other things going on.
Right.
Anyway, so
It
you
happens to be for
select,
internship, of course.
you would do the drop down here to make sure that the site matches. And then you would do the payroll process. And the reason that this is set up here is, as Suzette pointed out, sometimes people have two concurrent internships.
Right, like the peer tutors might work it as a peer tutor for 5 hours and then 10 hours doing CDS.
Exactly, exactly. So you fill in all this information, you put in day 1, day 2, day up to day 7. You put in the start time for day 1 and the end time, and it will automatically calculate the hours. And then when you're done adding all of that up, it will calculate everything for total hours and total earnings.
Okay.
First I have a question.
Yep.
You know, like how we have it where it cannot go over 15 hours a week?
Oh.
Yeah.
Will this
We'll have
be
to-
able to
Well,
prompt us?
that's a good point. If you could add that to the
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm trying to keep it down, but there's some students that might go 16 or 17 or something like that.
Well, goes back to the very beginning of this. Is it, I mean, we only pay for a certain number of hours,
We're
right?
only allowed to pay the 15, but
Right, but sometimes they may put in more.
right.
And should we be tracking that, but only paying them for what we're allowed to pay for? And that way we would know that they're putting in far more time, which would trigger when you need to talk to them. You can't be putting in this many hours.
Well, I mean, I usually do that when I look at the timesheets and I try to explain to them it becomes volunteer time. We can't pay it all the time.
Exactly.
Every once in a while, hour over my, but like I had a kid who did like almost 41 point something hours. So what I did was I put in 30, the 30 on the timesheet, and I banked those 11 hours and told them I'm going to bank that for the next pay period. You could either work days off or we'll put it in for where you're missing. But then that becomes a whole other thing that I got to do and remember.
Right. Oh, geez.
I think it was a problem with Camille and them because they're saying in reference to auditing when they're checking the timesheet, they don't want to see that the kids is working over the hours.
Right.
Okay.
And not getting paid for it.
Okay. I'm not going to save this part here. I'm going to go ahead and leave. So that's in a nutshell, and it's not that much different from what you were doing in CYD now. You know what I mean? You always started with the finding the site, assigning the student to that site and selecting a job. It's just laid out differently.
Right.
And I feel bad in one way because with HTML web-based program, you do have to do a lot more clicking.
And
Save the
this
record,
program, right?
confirm, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I think that's what's her name was talking about, doing all these extra steps instead of having everything just flow together, but it's not that easy.
Yeah, we'll try to make it as seamlessly
User-friendly.
effortless as possible.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you just have to do more clicking. But the thing, actually, once you start going, and you remember where to click, it goes much faster than you think. And also, the great thing about this is, let's say that you're setting up an internship booth at a career fair, right?
Okay.
You could have this on a tablet, and you could actually set up an appointment for somebody there. I mean, I'm just saying, there are options that you don't have as easily with a program like the one that Suzette and I developed.
Okay.
But that was the main thing that we tried to do, was to prevent duplicate actions. So here we are again. I did want to show you one more thing, and I'm going to go ahead and leave this. Not going to save that. Student search, and we'll go back to Lud because he's so convenient. And we'll go to view folder to see all the documents, and we'll go down to life links. Okay. And this was the old record for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, enrolled in college, contact method, contact outcome, updated. You can update the student contact information. If you find that there's a change, you can update it by hitting that or going back into the original. And college enrollment, it gives you options here. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do a new life links.
For him, the same person.
Yes.
Yeah, for the same person, Lud. I don't know who this guy is, but
I don't know, but that name is interesting. The more.
It is. And we'll say left a message with family friend, and current status. they said, oh, wait a minute, he enrolled in a training program. And they happened to have that information. The training sector was in government, program start, end, program name,
Okay.
program outcome, you know, license dropped out hiatus, certificate license
Oh, I
title.
like how they added hiatus.
That's a polite way of saying.
Hmm.
So that's kind of a quick overview of the life links.
Okay. That's
You
Suzette's favorite
you're
part,
welcome
right?
to play with
Suzette?
that as well. Pardon?
That's Suzette's favorite part, the life links.
And that exactly is what we would be doing with the student,
Fine.
yeah,
What's
the
that?
assignment. So let's go to the main screen here, and there are some reports, the validation report, and you click down and you'll see it's empty. So you would click view full report. I haven't written this out in the manual yet, or the life links, or the other, but we'll get that written out for you. It has, the staff is a global. Okay, you would enter that once when you're working in your thing, and it'll be there every time you open this report. The thing that is different is the date of service. So you would click on that and you would change the dates, the date range. All right, and then hit apply, and then it will update, or you can hit refresh all sections.
And
Okay,
it shows everything I've done.
right. And if
between
you're
those
going,
dates.
well, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I don't remember this one. You can click on it and it'll open up the record. Okay, like the little blue box in CYD now.
Yeah.
And then in this case, because it's opened up in a separate window, you need to close that. And you can see I've got 4 of them opened. It's, you
All
know,
right. Yeah.
yeah. Once, if you're saving as they're moving along, it's not a problem, right? It's whether you do the back, the the back,
That it does it on that window, that
right.
particular window.
Now here's where my assigned students lives. And for example, you can see that I've put in Cabrini for the funded program. And I've got 2 people that are assigned to me in the Cabrini program. I think I've got, darn it.
See, that's what I was talking about when I said about the interns. Since I'm the one doing internships, for the most part, do I put all the students that are working in the internship as my assigned group?
You could. In fact, that might actually be a great, time-saving device.
Mm-hmm.
There are other ways. Let's see if I got this one done. Caseload. Yeah, there we go. So you just change the funded program, and you would put in, for example, internship,
Okay.
and staff assigned would be Gladys. And it generates a report. And then you can print it or export it as an Excel spreadsheet. Or you can just click right on it and it'll take you to the record.
But first I have to generate that assign under the assign thing that you showed us.
Right. And I'll see if there's a way of there's another way of doing that, okay, without having to do the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
That is, go back to my Apricot, my reports, and I've got it living right now in executive reports. And let's see, active internships. So if we run that, and it is based on these particular job end date is empty, student ID is not empty. And we can add another filter, right? And select the filter, and that would be CYD supervisor. Apply. And in which case we would have to equal And I think, did I spell it right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yay. Apply. Well, maybe
What
it's
happened?
Gladys. I don't know. But you'd be able to add,
I think you put the whole name, Gladys Friends.
yeah, let's see if that works.
What
Apply.
happened, Suzette? She said Gladys friend.
There we go. So you'd be able to run this report, right? And then access them through here.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Right? So there, like I said, there are options for ways of doing it that help, keep things moving.
What is it that you said you're building separately in terms of internship?
I'm sorry.
You said that you're building something differently in terms of internship.
Well, it's the integration, how, how you can link information between forms.
Okay.
And as you saw, there were some broken links. I have to go back in and fix those.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll have that fixed by tomorrow, but if not by tomorrow, by Thursday.
No worries. It's a work in progress.
It is,
All
absolutely.
right, do you have time to share the groups?
Oh, groups. We didn't go over that, did we? No.
No.
No, we didn't get to do it.
Okay, so we'll go to
Yep.
my
Stage
Apricot.
record.
And group events. Okay. So these are groups that have already taken place, and you can, let's say you want to update something, like you've added a group for next week,
Right.
a roster, then you want to open it up and then take care of, did they show up or not, right? But most of the time you're going to be adding, this is for smaller groups. They're not for like career fair or anything else. We'll
No,
do
for
that
like the
for next.
workshops I do,
sorry?
seminars and like for the seminars and orientations.
Exactly. And I'll show you how this works. So we're going to add a new group. And we'll say that the service type is career. All right. And that will generate what kind of information will follow from that. And we'll say it's a workshop. And we'll select internship orientation. And we'll say, now, for example, you may have
Day one orientation, right?
Bingo. All right. Then you don't worry about the total time spent. You select the event date, and we'll say it's today, and duplicate. It's because I've already been doing
Oh, right.
so many times. Alter current record. So what I'm going to do is we'll change this to yesterday. Hopefully it won't. Okay, great. So we have the event date. If you're doing multiple days, you need to put in, let's say you're doing.
This is a reminder.
Alexa, stop.
Pick up
Alexis. Let's say you're doing a week with the same group of people. You're like a class kind of thing. Then you'd want to put in an end date. Then you can select, is it multiple days in the attendance portion of this. But most of the time you do one-offs, correct?
Right. Yeah, because it's usually like orientation is 2 days, but that's not always guaranteed. Because
Right.
if something goes on in the school, I got to push the second date to another day.
Exactly. Yeah. So
So
you
I
do
just do one-offs. Yeah, I don't do the multiple stuff.
okay. So
5:30 a.m. I don't think so.
no, definitely not. So you put it in as, we'll say 1:00 p.m. to how long do they last?
About four. We usually put 60. Margaret tells me to put 60.
Okay. So 2 p.m. And you'll see down below, it calculates the total time spent. So you don't have to worry about that. Then we'll assign our good friend, Gladys. Okay, so essentially we built the basic elements of the record, right?
Okay.
Of the group. If you were doing other kinds, you don't deal with, group tutoring or in-class tutoring. If you
No,
selected those, it brings up all kinds of other fields,
okay,
right? But you don't have to worry about that. Career. Okay. See, isn't that nifty? Now, let's say you're starting to build this out and you have the list of students, right?
right,
So at that point, just the way you would do it in CYD Now, you click this and you start adding the students. And you can search by name. Again, it's a limited group of people that we have.
right,
And I'll show you how you can see who's in there so that you can kind of like make a note of, I want to do this with this student, and
right.
so we'll say E. I don't know if there's anybody. Okay, so we do have some people. So we'll choose Ismaili. What happened?
It added.
Pardon?
No, I said it added. It added. It linked the student.
Oh, but I didn't see it add downstairs.
Okay.
There we go. So you just click who it is, right? And then you close that and save the
Save.
record. Pardon?
No, I'm just repeating you.
Oh, okay. You're helping me is what you're doing. Okay. So what we're going to do now is continue. All right. We've got all these people who are in there. Now, what you do next is you want to say, yeah, they actually showed up. And you would go to track attendance. And you'll see that it's saying you have one day, right? And it's the date and one unit.
Hmm.
The top part where it says student profile 3 records, update all, you can put in, you just repeat the PM and then you select what happened. So
Present, okay,
they're all present, except possibly, and you see this repeats all the way down, right? The same
right,
information. So if you wanted to, if everybody was there for the entire time, you would hit save records. But let's say that Ismaili showed up at 1:20 p.m. and left at 2 p.m. And you could say, well, that was an excused tardy. Not that you're going to be doing all of this, mind you, but you
Hmm.
could if you wanted to.
right,
And if you'll notice over here, it is now showing that that person has this particular, attendance, right?
and I update it always on the right,
Well, that's only if you're doing an individual, right?
okay,
If you put it in up here, it
that's,
updates everything vertical. But
okay,
you would do that first and then look for exceptions on the side.
okay.
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, this group, they're supposed to come back day 2, and day 2, somebody doesn't show. I just don't add them to day 2.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah. I mean, you could be more, sort of proactive in building rosters, but I think your point is excellent. You're not guaranteed it's going to be at the same time.
right,
It may be next week, like if it's on a
yeah,
Thursday and it may not happen until Monday or Tuesday,
right,
So yeah, I think it's better to do it as an ad hoc. So once you get to this point, you save the records. Oh, this is interesting. I'm going to change this also. Add a case manager. That's weird. First button. And oops. That should happen automatically. You shouldn't have to deal with that. But if you do see this, you just move available programs over to that.
so it's signed,
Yeah,
okay,
I have to check the, yeah. So now we'll save the records again. Hopefully everything was saved.
okay,
So now we know Emily, if we click here, we go to her record. and we'll see all the documents. And down here, we have the group event,
And it'll be in there. Okay.
right? That's weird. I changed all of that. The quick views.
Hmm.
Why is it coming out that way? I'll have to fix that. Normally, it would say the date, you know, the total time, and the name of the program area and the name.
Oh, you mean up above the information?
Yeah, so that when you do the drop down like that,
It shows you what the program was.
exactly. This is like so vague.
Could it be because it has to be more than one different group for it to do that?
No,
No?
it's Suzette, I remember updating that. Do you?
Actually, when I did it this morning, it was like that, so I'm not
Like
sure.
this? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Update. Quick view for.
So if they've done 4 or 5 different groups, the 4 or 5 different groups will be in that category with the name of the group and everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. You'd see a list of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
and you
this
could
is
open up any, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead first. This is only for individual though, because it's on you on her record. You click in her record.
Right. On
Right,
this,
but what I mean is, so if as this student has been to 5 different groups, the 5 different groups will pop up in that category.
exactly. The same way as you remember it with LUD, when you clicked on services, you saw all the services.
Right.